Om Namah Shivaya. My name is Nirmala and I'm in Delhi, India. And this is a little bit of content in video format for our September Yoga Sandesha newsletter. And over the next some months, we'll be focusing in our content on the yamas and the niyamas. And so for the September 2023 issue, we're talking about Satya or truth. And so I'd like to speak a little bit today on that concept of truth within our own yoga practice or sadhana. In fact, it's not just yoga asanas, but in our sadhana, whatever we take up to be our own practice. So I will say from the perspective of a student, and especially as a beginner, it's quite easy to keep truthful about our practice because we're new and we're learning and we don't have any reason to fabricate anything yet. So often beginners have a very good mindset and they want to learn from the teacher, they want the attention of the teacher, so they'll come forward in a straightforward kind of way and ask the questions that they want to. Maybe as we get a little further along in the practice, it's possible that we may have other ideas attached to our practice. It might be that we tend to say, oh yes, I can do that, when maybe I'm not sure. Or we say, I meditate every day, but I may not meditate every day. So there's a very good way to examine truth in using a spiritual diary. So if this is new to you, you have not seen, it's a kind of way of keeping track of what I do in any given day. So I start by having an intention, what kind of practice I want to do, what sort of sadhana I want to do. I create a format for that. And then I keep track every day. I use an Excel file, I'll show you in a second, but it has a number of different things that I respond to each day. And then over time, I can look back and say, I'm doing the practice that I intended or I'm not doing. Maybe I can see that at certain times my practice drops off a little bit. I do less. Maybe I don't get enough sleep and that affects my practice. So there are many things that we can gain by keeping track or logging our spiritual practice. And from the perspective of a teacher, it's a little bit different when we talk about truth, but because there's another layer of that I'm passing on these teachings to others. So I want to be quite truthful with my own self first about what is my practice and am I doing it in the way I intend. And then with the students, don't underestimate how powerful it can be for a student to really hear the truth from their teacher. You know, for example, I struggle with this. This is difficult for me, but I try, and that can actually be quite inspiring for a student. So really examining the truth in light of the spiritual diary has a lot of value. So I'm going to show you one on screen. The one that you should see now is quite a comprehensive spiritual diary. There are a lot of categories. This is a diary that someone might keep if they're a little more deep in the practice or maybe keeping brahmacharya. So it's quite detailed. You'll see how many hours did you sleep, when did you rise from the bed, how many malas of japa you may have done or a repeating mantra, how long did you chant kirtans, how many mantras did you write, that's called likita japa, and then basic things about the practice, how much time in pranayama, how much time doing asanas, basic physical exercise, walking or something else that I might do. Did I read some Gita shlokas, did I study spiritual books, how much time I spent in satsang or wise company. Maybe I wasted a bit of time in useless company. Did I give charity in the day? Did I get angry? And I would suggest anyone using a spiritual diary to customize it a little bit to find something that works for you. So there are certain things that don't resonate so much for me. One is, for me, is how many times I got angry and in which way did I self-punish. So that to me is something I tend to self-punish anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. But we should customize it. We should be clear on how much we can fill in each day. It goes into fasting, how much time in meditation, and virtues and vices as well. So what do I want to cultivate? Maybe more patience or peace. So, and what time I go to bed. So it keeps a real snapshot of my day in practice. I'll show another one on screen now, and that is a very simple spiritual diary. And this is perfectly fine as well, and it just talks about the practice. So how long in pranayama, asanas, physical exercise, reading spiritual books or study of spiritual books, meditation. And so we get to see in the long term our practice, and that has a lot of value because we tend to forget, and sometimes we also don't realize that we're making progress in the practice when we're really doing a lot more than we did, say, a year ago, or controlling our emotions a lot better, many of these things. So there's a lot of value in keeping the spiritual diary. And some people submit it to their teacher, and it's a way of maybe keeping myself honest. We submit it. Other people you might choose to do just for your own self and be perfectly honest. It's a ways and a means for us to say 100%, I'm going to put the truth on this page, and then I can look back at it later. Maybe I keep it to myself and nobody has to ever see. But the value in the practice is that Satya, or truth, is really the thing that carries us forward, and we should be very truthful in the practice, and then that truthfulness will spread into other areas of the life. So I hope this has been helpful. I wish you the best in your sadhana and keeping up what you intend to do.